Hello and welcome to our first Q&A session of 2025. I'm Manuela Goda, and the Society Secretary, and I'm delighted to be here with you today. It's an exciting time for HF Holidays as we continue to celebrate our 112 year as a cooperative. At the end of February 2025, via the AGM notice, we invited you, our valued members, to submit your questions about HF Holidays operations, strategy, and business. We received over 60 questions, and we're truly grateful once again for your engagement and enthusiasm. Your questions have provided valuable insight and help us continue to improve our holidays, operations, and services. Your participation plays a huge role in shaping our community, so thank you. I would like to welcome our new CEO, Chris Simmons, to his first Q&A session. Alongside our Chair of the Board, Ben Reid, and Director Jerry Good, they have reviewed all your questions, and we hope our responses will be informative and helpful for everyone. To make things easy to follow, we've grouped the questions under Society's new strategic goals: membership matters most, led by product, and simplify, optimize, and invest. Where similar questions were asked, we've combined them. Before Ben, Jerry, or Chris share their responses, we'll display a summary of each question on the screen. If you need to revisit something, feel free to pause or rewind the recording anytime. Thanks again for being part of our Age of Holidays community. Now, the first speaker is Ben Reid, our Chair of the Board. Over to you, Ben.
Thank you, Manuela, for that introduction. And I should start, I think, by firstly thanking everybody who's taken the trouble to submit over 60 questions to us. That has to be the HF democracy working as it should. Hopefully, by the end of this broadcast recording, you'll feel that we have done our best to answer those questions as openly as possible. You can see there the first question, which is on interest on shares. There was also that's combined with a question about interest on shares less than £1,000. So our response to that is that, as I think everybody probably knows now, we are actually doing a full review of our membership scheme, and as part of that, we've done a review of our member benefits. One of the key member benefits at the moment is actually the reward on the money that you invest with us. It was clear right at the start of that, and actually we were prompted by a number of emails or contacts from members, that we did actually need to increase the rate of interest we were paying for people who had invested more than £1,000 with us. So that was the first thing we did, which was implemented from the 1st of January 2025. At the same time, as part of that debate, it was agreed to reduce the rate of interest applied to investments in the range between £1,000 and £100 to a rate of 0. The logic underpinning this was that the majority of our members in this category have around £200 invested, and the board's view was that the package of member benefits, which are there at the moment, and those that we are developing, which do include the holiday discount, will on their own represent a good return on the member's investment. For example, one booking a year would generate a £30 benefit, which on a £200 shareholding represents a 15% return. Not really bad in this current market. Our rules are clear that the board has the authority to determine whether interest is payable and at what rate. We already do not pay interest on investments of less than £100. The changes I've pointed out there, where we've gone to 0, are for balances between that range of £100 and £1,000, which, as I said, we did set at 0%. While interest payments on smaller shareholdings are ending, our commitment to providing value to all members remains unchanged. And the sorts of things that we have got in the pipeline are clearer pricing, which will highlight the £30 saving for members, exclusive member brochure with offers, price pledge guarantee, and quite important to quite a number of members, we will be maintaining the 10% bar discount. So there is a package there, and I'm pretty sure that as we move forward, we will be doing all we can to enhance it. So the next group of questions is on the AGM and the sort of active democracy. And so just in response to the specific question, so far this year, up to the 21st of March, we have received just over 2,000 votes. The election closes on the 28th of March, so we're hopeful that number will climb. The returns to date are 215 returned by post, 619 had received information by post but still voted online, and the balance of approximately 1,200 received the information by email and voted online. I think this demonstrates that far from disenfranchising members, actually they're taking advantage of all the various options available to them. Notice of the AGM was sent by post on the 27th of February, and that ensured that the 28 days notice was given, which is absolutely in line with our rules, and of course is a direct response to the point raised in the question where they asked for at least 3 weeks prior notice. So with that, can I pass over to Jerry?
Hi everyone. I have a few questions here on prices and discounts, which we've grouped together, and I would respond as follows. And thank you for your questions. Our price pledge ensures early bookers do not lose out. And if you see an offer that is at a lower price than the one you paid for the same holiday, location and date, you are protected by our price pledge. This means we will match the lower price for you as a member. However, the way we use discounting is to be reviewed by our new chief executive as part of a wider review of our marketing strategy. So look out for changes. I'll now hand back to Ben.
Thanks, Jerry. I've got 2 more questions relating to shareholding investments. First one, the £100 shareholding ensures that the support for HF Holidays cooperative model is clear, and this figure has been in place now since 2008. It isn't something we've recently done. It has been a minimum £100 shareholding to join HF since 2008. Members who have less than 100 shares do not receive the £30 member discount or the 10% bar discount, and so they're not actually able to gain the advantages of those that have recognised and complied with the rule to have at least £100 in the society. We are actively working to encourage individuals with less than £100 invested in the society to top up their accounts, not least of which so that they can share in all of the benefits that the rest of us do. In the end, if they fail to respond, we will use the provisions available to us to remove these individuals from our list of members. It's not something we want to do. We want to continue them as supporters of the society, but at the end we can't operate a 2-tier society. The rules are very clear. The minimum is £100. We will follow the Society's formal processes to address these, removing these members from the list, and so it will be fully in line with what the members have already agreed. We do recognise the point about affordability for younger members, but it really would be impractical to introduce pricing based on age. So with that, back again to Jerry.
Thank you, Ben. I now have a number of questions around our marketing and the use of email. We'll respond to that. Thank you first for the questions and for the suggestions, and we always like to hear suggestions, but we do monitor the open and click-through rates related to our email marketing. These are considerably higher than industry standards, which suggests a high level of engagement by recipients. However, the use of email marketing is to be reviewed as part of our review of marketing strategy over the next few months. So your thoughts will be fed into that. Then we now have a question about email addresses for couples. Again, thank you for your question. Although addressing the issue may appear to be relatively simple, it is in fact quite complicated, as all of our systems require individual email addresses. However, we understand the frustration this can cause, so we will add it to a list of potential system enhancements to be considered in future, though there may be legal requirements that we have to meet in any event. I'll now hand over to Chris.
Thank you, Jerry. So we've had a handful of questions relating to single rooms, about the availability of them, also the supplements that we charge on some of our overseas holidays, and the ability to search for them online. So our single rooms are in quite high demand and can book up very quickly. Currently 30 to 40% of our rooms across our UK country houses are allocated to singles, which does compare favourably to what you would normally expect within normal hotels, between 10 and 20%. And I think that does reflect the demand from our members. So really, for single rooms, even though we do offer more, I would suggest that really it's about booking early to benefit from that availability. With regards to the website, I'm pleased to say that we are actually making changes to our website currently, and within a few months we will be launching some new functionality that will allow members and customers to search for single room availability across our holiday range. And on the point about single supplements, I agree, it can be very frustrating sometimes, and it can be a barrier to making a booking when there are costs for booking single rooms. But sadly, many hotels that we contract with will pass on single costs to us, and we in turn pass them on to customers. We will be and continue to be vigilant in our negotiating of those single costs, and we'll try and keep them as low as possible. But you know, keep the feedback coming, because it's very important that we keep our focus on singles. The next question is slightly different, and it's around solo holidays. And this is really about the the reduced range of solo holidays that we've had, despite there being a perceived massive demand for them. Well, in response, I'm pleased to say that we will be increasing our solo holiday options going forward. We're currently looking at our product strategy at the moment, and solo holidays will firmly be on the list of a key area for development. So I'm just going to cover, we've had quite a few questions, 9 questions in total, relating to food. One relating to the milk offering, 2 about grapefruit segments, about processed food, and also about some of the low quality mass produced food, or perception that there's a low quality mass produced food. There's even more questions on food, about the reduced number of items available in packed lunches. Also, whether the number of snack packed lunches has been reduced. Relating to seasonal fruit, plums, nectarines during certain months. Have we imposed reduced meal budgets for 2025, then is there a chance that the evening meal could be served earlier? So I would like to say, first of all, thank you very much. Feedback around our food is always appreciated because we always strive to try and improve the service that we offer. The great news is that on balance, we seem to be doing quite well despite this valuable feedback. And last year scores for our dinners were up 4% from 88% saying very good or good to 92%. And picnic lunches improved by 2% from 91 to 93%. And breakfast remained very popular at 95% for both years. But we do refresh our menus, and so breakfast is refreshed once a year. And that is based on the popularity and take-up of various dishes that guests choose. And there was not a great deal of demand for grapefruit segments, so this was replaced by a watermelon platter. Grapefruit juice was replaced by cranberry juice and is offered alongside orange juice and apple juice. We could look at adding back grapefruit juice in the future menu, and we'll continue to review. Changes to the 2025 picnic offering was made as part of an annual review that takes place every year. This is quite an extensive exercise, and it does involve analysing all of the data around what people choose and the feedback we get. And it's often, it's related to people's preference around taste, quality, and the range that we offer. Specifically in relation to the points raised regarding the reduced number of extra items from 6 to 5, the average throughout 2024 season, guests chose 4.2 items. So going down to 5 should serve most of customers' current requirements. I think it's important that we continue to monitor this because it helps us decrease any food and packaging waste as we go forward. Fruit salad is also by far the most popular dessert enjoyed by our guests, so we have resisted changing that recipe today. The fresh fruit salad is made up of a mix of fresh pineapples, melons, oranges and berries, and it mixes well and also can be prepared in advance without detracting from customers' and members' tastes. We understand that earlier meal times, especially during the winter months, could be an option, so we'll look into that. In relation to the food and the sort of standards of food, please be assured that the safety of guests and members is of the utmost importance, and we're committed to rigorously following all requirements set by the UK Food Standards Agency regarding food served in UK country houses. There's been no directive to replace natural ingredients with ultra-processed foods, and we do source a wide range food from a wide range of sources. British suppliers, including specialist fresh meat butchers and fishmongers. Our fresh fruit and vegetables are sourced from suppliers within a 40-mile range of each house, and we also now grow herbs on site in many of our houses to use in our cooking. So again, a sincere thank you for sending through this feedback because it's extremely important to us so we can continue to improve.
Thank you, Chris. We have a question about calories on the menus. Thank you for your question and for highlighting this to us. And we agree it doesn't look right. We use external information sources to provide us with the information, and it could be that there is a discrepancy. We've instructed our team to review the information and, if appropriate, to update the menus accordingly. The calorie information we provide is only a guide, which we are legally required to include. However, we understand it can sometimes seem inconsistent, and ultimately, yes, we agree with you, enjoying your meal should always come first. The next question was about dining arrangements. And again, thank you for the feedback on this. Social dining, as all our members know, is a key part of HF Holidays experience. But of course, there are times when guests wish to socialise at meal times with friends with whom they've travelled. When requests are made for dining arrangements, we do our best to accommodate everyone while maintaining our unique social dining experience. It's difficult to keep everyone happy all of the time, but we do our best. I'll hand back over to Ben now.
Thanks, Jerry. So, sustainability, a very important topic for our members. It's really is a very key area of interest with guests and members. So we do measure our carbon footprint annually. Our goal is to reduce our emissions by 5% each year, with an ambition to be net zero by 2040 or earlier if we can. We are delighted that HF Holidays is now a B Corp certified society, and incidentally that cost us £12,000. That acceptance by the B Corp organisation really does reflect our long-term commitment to ensuring our entire business operates ethically and meets high social and environmental standards. Our plans do include improving our waste and recycling, measuring our carbon footprint, continuing to use renewable energy across our country house estate, growing our range of rail adventures and to improve the transport by rail option, increasing our use of local guides to reduce transport to overseas destinations, trying to ensure that our houses, particularly when we bring in third parties, are near to public transport, and that we provide guidance on the best routes. In the future, we're looking, with all the new technology and the work on the website and the improvements we're bringing in, we're looking to establish a community forum to make interacting with fellow travellers before and after your holiday easier. And that may well help with shared journeys and therefore reduction in the miles travelled. So I've got a range of other questions. Firstly, somebody asking about HF's policy for baths. I'm not sure what prompted it, and the question talks about conflicting accounts. So I'm not sure if this isn't one of those great HF rumours that runs around. But just to be clear, we absolutely aim to provide a mix of room options across our properties. And as we refurbish, we will consider guest preferences while trying to balance practicality and sustainability. Clearly, every room wouldn't suit having a bath, and actually, these days, a significant number of guests would prefer to shower. But so we're constantly reviewing it and trying to balance it. And certainly during our significant refurbishment at Longwind House at Church Stretton, we actually did make the decision to install two new into two rooms, two baths. And we certainly are not planning to remove all baths from our property, if that was what the grapevine was saying. Dogs, I think I had this same question last year, and hopefully I'm being consistent with the answer. When we say we do try to balance the needs of all guests. We do allow dogs at 3 of our houses, in our dog-friendly rooms at Exmoor, Church Stretton and Brecon Beacon. And we're happy to review expanding such opportunities, but at all times we have to ensure, again, getting the balance and the comfort of all of our guests. The next question is about trains and their potential for them being the reason why somebody can't join one of our holidays. And so really, thank you for asking the question, because whilst it allows you to highlight that even though our booking terms do typically restrict transfers within the holidays close to the departure date, because I mean that could if that could put, if it was generally available, could cause chaos. We do appreciate the impact unforeseen events can have on clients. So in those circumstances, we just would recommend you contact our team, who are absolutely brilliant at responding to customer and member requests. And I am pretty confident they'll do all they can help. We won't just point to the booking conditions. We will do whatever we can to make sure that your holiday is enjoyable and is a success. But of course, the overriding condition, we have to say, is that does depend upon availability. Frankly, we can't transfer you to a house where there isn't a bed for you. So, but yeah, I mean, I think the customer service that our booking teams is almost legendary. So I would make that as a first call, and I would be hopeful that they would be able to sort that. So
Okay.
With that, I think I now pass over to Chris.
Thank you, Ben. We've had a number of questions relating to our special interest holidays. Particularly in recent times, we've reduced them, and some of the questions are asking if we can reinstate and bring back some popular favourites of the past, and also a number of suggestions for new special interests. So thanks again for sharing those thoughts. And I am pleased to say that we do have ambition to grow again our range of special interest holidays for 2026. So when the new range comes out, which will be fairly soon, I do urge members to go and have a look at what's new. The next question is related to GPX files, and members have requested if it's possible to provide those codes for the walks at each house. And in relation to GPX codes, firstly, thank you for the question. And we have been asked this previously. So we're in the process of currently making GPX codes files available for our guided walks, available to our leaders over the coming year. And we do have aspiration to provide GPX files for our self-guided routes, and are considering how best to do that going forward. The next question has come in around gentle walking options, and just requesting that that range be expanded. So again, thank you for the feedback. We are also keen to grow in this area and are reviewing the suitability of certain locations. Some houses, due to the nature of terrain, make gentle walking options difficult, but we are actively reviewing the gentleness of the current gentle walking programme, and based on feedback and our views, we will be making adjustments for 2026. So again, that will be out soon, so please go and have a look at that when it's released.
I'm sure, as all members know, we have a fantastic HF Holidays country house in Glencoe. Indeed, my wife has taken her brother up there this week. And partner hotel. We also have partner hotels in iconic and remote areas such as Orkney and the Isle of Arran. These are very popular and have a high level of occupancy. And this, of course, naturally limits the ability of HF to provide special offers or reduced discounted holiday times. Of course, when it is possible, we will do it. If we now move on, we have another one about solo breaks. Chris covered the generality of solo breaks. We've got a specific one about Christmas, or at least festive solo breaks. And thanks for your thoughts on this. Of course, we always recommend booking early to secure single rooms, as Chris said earlier, as demand is always high. And if you need assistance finding a festive break with a single room, our team would be happy to help. However, whilst we recognise the unique atmosphere that festive breaks create, it is not currently commercially feasible to offer festive solo breaks. Nevertheless, we are always exploring ways to enhance our holiday programme, and we will review how we might accommodate your suggestion as part of our future planning and delivery. I now have a question on family holidays. or two questions on family holidays. And again, thank you for your questions. While our core offering focuses on guided and self-guided walking, we value families and of course the next generation of HF holiday members, and we will continue to offer family-friendly holidays. However, the pricing, locations and other aspects of our family holidays has to be balanced to ensure we remain commercially viable while maintaining the quality of the family holidays that you and others know and love. A question on accessible holidays. Again, thank you for your question. We appreciate the challenges this presents to families like yours who face barriers to enjoying the great outdoors together. While we have made efforts to accommodate a range of needs, your feedback will drive us to make further consideration of what else we could do when we are planning future improvements to our holidays and to our houses. A question about free day that you get during your stays. Thank you again for your suggestion. We understand that on free days, having transportation options to explore nearby cities or places of interest is very helpful. Nevertheless, transport options do vary depending on the location of our country houses. We have found that guests in your position tend to use discussions with other guests whilst on a walk or at dinner to find others wishing to undertake similar activities or site visits, and then book a shared taxi. If asked, house staff may also be willing to help you find like-minded guests with whom to share. I'll now hand back to Chris, who will talk about flights and similar issues.
Thanks, Jerry. We had a few questions around flights, and it was mainly related to offering regional airports, particularly Manchester. So firstly, we have actually increased the number of holidays available from Manchester, and now 10% of all of our holiday with flights are opt-in from Manchester Airport. We also include not just Manchester, but Birmingham and other regional airports. Manchester is a popular option, and so we now include it on holidays to Spain, Italy, Portugal and Croatia. And for some of our worldwide programs, we have Manchester options for Vietnam, Peru, Ecuador and Kazakhstan. We're always looking to improve the availability of regional airports, but what we will work hard at is making sure that it's very clear where these options are when we advertise our holidays to our members. I'm going to hand over to Ben now, who has a question around volunteer leaders.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks for the question. I mean, it gives me the opportunity on behalf of the board to comment on one of the key elements that differentiates HF from our competitors. We really appreciate the valuable contribution of our volunteer walk leaders and the key role they play in delivering exceptional experiences to our guests. We probably don't say it often enough, so this is a good forum to say thank you to everybody who's involved as a leader. As somebody who is a big fan of our guided walking programme, it was the guided walks with our great leaders that actually pulled me into HF in the first place. So I am a fan, and as I say, we probably don't say thank you often enough, but let's say it now publicly on behalf of the board and of all of our guests. Thank you. It is the case that our ongoing business plan really has been based upon the guided walking programme. I mean, that is our core product, and we really intend that to be the case going forward. And so that requires the continuation of the use of volunteer walk leaders, and you know, it's as simple as that. HF is about fundamentally about guided walking. I know we have other products, but there is a 100% commitment to continuing with the walk leaders. Going forward, our plans include enhanced engagement. You know, I know there's been quite a lot of discussion as to whether there's a leaders conference again. I think probably that has been a bit overtaken by technology these days. I think COVID showed us there's a different way of engaging people, but that's for Chris to decide. But he's joined us now, and I know from all he says, he's very keen to strengthen the communication and the feedback channels so that we can support our leaders the best we can. And certainly, I think we can. I think when we look at it, there's quite a lot we can do to improve it. In fact, I would say David Harrington, before he left, one of the projects that he was pulling together was a review of the way we could support leaders better. He didn't get actually a chance to finish it because of business things took over, but I know that Chris will be picking that up and moving forward with it. And under sustainability and growth, we want to really ensure that volunteer model remains a core part of HF Holidays. As I say, we really are clear as a strategic objective that guided walking is at the heart of HF. That doesn't mean there won't be changes, doesn't mean that we won't have to evolve it, as we've had to do for European holidays, where we have to employ local people because that's what the European law says. But fundamentally, leaders will be at the heart of HF. So I can't say that's any more clearer than that. Finally, on that point again, just to say thank you again. We can't say thank you too much. With that, I'll pass over to Chris.
Thanks, Ben. I couldn't agree more. I think the volunteer leaders are certainly one of the magic ingredients that makes HF Holidays special. So we've had a question around communications, particularly relating to changes that are made before the holiday goes ahead. Since joining HF, I've been reviewing many of the processes, procedures that happen at HF, and whilst sometimes it's inevitable that changes occur from the time of booking until your holiday departs, we do want to minimise the disruption that these things can cause, particularly around flights and hotel changes. So going forward, we certainly are going to communicate these in good time. And if we've been late, firstly, I'm sorry about that, but we will definitely aim to improve. But most importantly, we will try and minimise these changes as much as possible going forward.
Thank you, Chris. I have a couple of questions now about groups, about the booking, the payment arrangements, etc. Thank you for your questions. Our group booking process is structured to balance availability across all guests and different holiday types while ensuring we can offer a range of dates and destinations. This means we cannot guarantee access to all unbooked rooms up front. That said, we value group bookings and we are looking to improve our processes. If you have specific preferences, we'd be happy to discuss the options. In terms of the question about payment arrangements, we do ask groups to pay together for easier tracking and to avoid the administration involved in receiving multiple payments at different times. Group organisers collect payments and receive benefits like room upgrades in recognition of this. We do accept group payment via BACS as long as it's one payment by the group organiser. Nevertheless, we're always looking for ways to improve the processes, so thank you for bringing the issues that you've raised to our attention. We will consider how we might introduce smarter ways to meet the needs of our groups in future. I now have a question on cancellation about a booking made at Selworthy specifically. Thank you for the question. We're sorry to hear about this experience. While group bookings help to us maintain financial sustainability, we do understand the frustration of having your plans disrupted. We are reviewing the way we communicate with customers in situations like yours to ensure greater clarity and fairness, and have noted your experiences and the need to continue to improve our approach in such situations. I'm now handing back to Ben to talk about walk details.
Thanks, Jerry. The next question really puzzled me a bit. Now I'm a regular HF holiday person, and actually I haven't experienced that the walk details are so, and in fact the words were so poor, which I do struggle to understand what has happened. So the first thing I would say is obviously the question has come out of a real experience, and it would be really helpful if perhaps you could, whoever it was that, I don't have the details here, which member it was that raised the question, but if you could expand on that and perhaps drop an email into the society to Chris or myself, then we'll have a look at it. You know, it's feedback is really critical. Our aim is always to provide a top quality product. The walks talks, you know, I do know that sometimes the walks that are actually on the holidays aren't quite what were in the original on the website when probably are booked. Normally there's a good reason for it. It's normally replaced by something of equal interest and value and distance. So I'm struggling a bit to say anything else other than if you were to contact us and we'll have a look at some specifics. But of course, we're always looking to improve the details we provide. I remember when we used to have those fly-through graphic computer models showing all the terrain and all the rest of it. Actually, the feedback was that guests just preferred the leaders and the walks talk. So we'll be constantly working on this to try and make sure that we improve. And maybe technology, being able to download things onto GPS watches and what have you will help. But so commitment to continue to strive to improve, and an offer if there's something specific that prompted the question, please contact us, and then I can guarantee you we will look at it. The next question's on TVs. I actually remember the debate about whether we should have TVs or not. I think it was a fairly close vote at the membership because it was thought that it might break the HF model, that everybody would just retreat to their rooms and watch TV. And now we're talking about wanting bigger and better TVs. So it shows how the world moves on. So actually, I thought the proposal on putting the more sophisticated TVs in premium rooms sounded really quite sensible. So Chris will pick that up. He's already read it and see whether it makes sense as we go through and work out the product going forward. The next question really is really directed as a result of what was quite a difficult decision for the board, which was the closure of the Penrith office. This is a decision that, since I've been on the board, has been hovering, and we were going to make it, then we didn't make it, and so there's been quite a lot of uncertainty around Penrith for a number of years. But in the end, the decision was made, and it was closed. Pleasing, well, it's not careful with words. Clearly, the people were affected at Penrith, and you know we would wish it hadn't happened. But in the interest of efficiency across the society, it needed to happen. But actually, the slight positive there is that actually there was no redundancies associated with the closure of the office. People were given the opportunity to work from home, and we also established a working environment for them elsewhere. It is the case that some have left subsequently, but actually everybody was given the chance to continue their role, but actually on the working from home model, which actually had proved very successful through the COVID period. And I think on a lot of weeks, the Penrith team as individuals might only be in one day a week into the actual office. Back when the board went to visit, there was nobody in, well, one or two people. It just became a decision that had to be made. Board were very conscious of making sure that people were dealt with properly. I know that we put a lot of HR support in there, but of course, when you're affecting people's lives, there will be people who are disappointed with that decision, but business needed to make it and move on. The costs of the closure of the office have all been included in the accounts. We leased the property. I think the lease has got a few months left to go, but we have to hand it back to the landlord in good state. So there is what we call dilapidations, which is really to restore the property to the standard it was when we first took it on. And the cost of that were around £30,000. But as I say, they have been absorbed in the accounts that have been reduced. So now I'll pass over to Chris.
Okay, thank you, Ben. The next question is relating to conferences that leaders attend. So last November, just shortly after I joined, there was a field advisors conference, of which nearly 40 field advisors attended, and that was at Church Stretton. We also facilitated since then some residential training courses for 40 tour managers who are also volunteer leaders. And we will continue to offer sort of virtual workshops for volunteer leaders this year and into next. We're always reviewing how we operate and how best to maintain that community of volunteer leaders, and we'll certainly review the feasibility of residential courses in the future. I'm going to hand back to Ben now. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Chris. Question around profits and the fact that actually for a second year we actually haven't been able to hit our budget. So thank you for the question, because HF have actually faced a number of challenges over the past year. It is the case that the board did approve a budget that had been prepared in accordance with normally accepted principles, but as the year progressed, a number of cost challenges emerged, and these included, and in fact probably the most significant, was the fact that I think, as everybody has been aware, in hospitality the big issue we've had was attracting and recruiting chefs and catering staff, and the government brought in a scheme whereby we could get special visas for overseas chefs to come and join us. It was due to start or be effective from a date. It was no surprise the government weren't ready, and they were built in all sorts of delays. So the budget was based on a set of assumptions that we would have visas, the chefs would be in and be working in the business. Actually, we didn't get them in till very late in the year. It meant that we had to continue with agency staff. And all in all, that cost HF over £750,000. Couldn't have planned for that when we prepared the budget. We were travelling in good faith, hoping the government would provide that which they had promised. Secondly, there was a different mix of sales. There was more discounting done in the as we went through the year, which ended up with we had more volume, but we didn't make as much money, and so that which the profile of sales and margin that we had planned within the budget wasn't what was delivered, and that in effect there was a net reduction of over £400,000 in sales value. The impact on the profit of that is probably around 80,000. The whole discounting model in HF, I know that Chris has got that very high on his list to have a look at how we price, when we discount, how we reward early bookers. I think we got a bit confused in the year that we've just finished, and I think as we go forward, we'll be really a lot clearer about it, and do our best to make sure that that which we plan within the budget is that which we actually deliver. So that was about an 80,000. So just those two together are over 800,000. And then we had a visit from our friendly VAT man, and he picked up some charges that we needed to reflect in the accounts that we hadn't reflected in the budgets. And so that was another £140,000. So when you put all those together, you know, that's nearly £1 million in 3 issues that arose during the year that, frankly, however diligent we had been, and I think we were in preparing the budget, we couldn't have anticipated what was going to hit us. You know, we are very clear that we do need to deliver a sustainable profit. I think it's clear that this year, so far, fingers crossed, we are delivering that which we have anticipated. So hopefully this time next year we will be hearing very positive news to you as members. But of course, we can always improve, and we will be looking at, as a result of these 3 issues, for instance, we have reviewed the way that we are doing the budgets. We've been in clear conversations with Chris, our new CEO, about the processes for this year, for the year that's about to start or start in the autumn. And so we do, each time we try to learn our lessons, but you know, things do come out of the woodwork, and sometimes they are significant, as they were in the year that's just finished. So nearly £1 million hit, which was really very difficult. So the next question is about properties, and you know, I think it probably goes a bit with linked with the previous question. Everybody who's followed HF knows and is aware that we do need to catch up on the maintenance of our properties as a result of the slowdown we had to introduce as a result of COVID. So there's quite a lot of a backlog, and so the profitability of the society is key to achieve that. So at the moment, we are focusing using our available capital to address this backlog, so that we can bring them all up to the highest standard. Anybody who's been to Church Stretton Longmin will see what we're trying to achieve. We have a plan, but we need to fund it, and we need to make sure that we don't run ourselves into bank debt and all those sorts of things to do it. The way to do it is to increase the profitability. The exception to this is the property Peveril of the Peak, the one we currently rent. We lease this at the moment, so we are actually paying a rent for it, quite a significant rent for it. The lease does include an option to purchase it within the next, I think probably the next 18 months. The board is going to have to make a decision whether we do acquire that property. The mood is very much that we should, but again, it will have to be on the basis of the core profitability of the societies in the right place. But it would make good business sense to replace the current large lease rent payment with perhaps the interest on a bank loan over a longer period of time, and to strengthen our balance sheet. So the simple answer to, well, there isn't a simple, the simple answer is there isn't a simple answer to this question, but we will be focusing on refurbishing our properties. We're not out in the market at the moment looking for new owned properties. We just can't afford it, with the exception of Peveril of the Peak. And I suspect by the time we get to the AGM next year, the board will have had to make a decision, which will be to either acquire it or probably move away from it, because the owner has every intention of selling it, and has given us the opportunity. If we turn it down, then the odds are that he's going to sell it to somebody else. Okay, I'll switch on to something now completely different. Sounds like a line from a John Cleese film, that. So something completely different, more about marketing, and got a range of questions. How do we attract more men on holidays? Submit. The last holiday I was on, I think there was 30 at dinner on the first night, and there was only 2 men. So I do understand that. There's market research and attracting younger guests. So just thank you for everybody for this range of questions. And I'm absolutely clear that Chris, doing his review of product and marketing, will have heard those and will have them at the back of his mind. So thank you. We understand that a balanced group dynamic can be key to a holiday, as the type of can be as key to it as the type of trip, location, and time of year. We are actively working to attract a wider age range by offering more flexible trip options, themed experiences, and new destinations. We are enhancing our reach by exploring partnerships to try and engage new audiences. We're refining our marketing to broaden our appeal, and using customer profiling to create inclusive, engaging holidays for both existing and new guests. Your feedback is appreciated as we will continue to develop these plans. And as I say, I'm pretty sure that Chris will be sitting down with his product team and trying to broaden it, because the future has to be to attract new, more different people to HF. That's the end of the question. So that concludes the member Q&A for 2025. A really big thank you to all our members for the question and engaging with our society. I've been in the co-op movement for over 40 years. I have worked in a number of societies, and I have never seen a co-op society where the members engage as effectively as HF is. And so from my point of view, it's a real pleasure to chair a proper co-op where actually you do respond. So thank you for that. And I hope you found the session valuable. If there is, if you're not quite clear that we've answered the question, well, there's the AGM, there's a chance for you to drop an email in for clarification, whatever. We have done our best. We spent the last few days trawling through all these questions and trying to put together effective answers. But if you think we've fallen short, then just let us know. So again, thank you for that, and I look forward to connecting with you either on a walk, online, or even at the AGM. So thank you. Have a good day.